Okay, let's work on this problem. This is a physics problem. They say that a boy is pulling a toy car with a force of 60 Newton as shown in the figure. So we can see the force. The boy is pulling a force of 6 Newtons at an angle of 30 degrees to the horizontal surface, and they want us to find the horizontal and the vertical components. Okay, so first thing first, I'm going to explain when they say the horizontal component and the vertical component, what are they referring to. What I need you to do first, let's take this first force here. This force will go in that direction because this object is pulled to the right. So now what I'm going to do, if I use the tail to head method, I know that my vertical force will be moving in an upward direction. So this is my Fy, this is my Fx. So when they say the horizontal, they are talking about your Fx. When they say the vertical, they are talking about your Fy. So I'm going to take you back to trig ratios. How do we define the trig ratios? So if I have a triangle like this, and this triangle is a right angle triangle, because this vertical force, it will be perpendicular to the horizontal surface. So it is a right angle triangle with an angle theta here. What we have is that this is your Fy, this is your it's your Fy, this is your Fx, and what else do we have? We have your R. Let's call this R, which is the hypotenuse. Or let's call it F, your force. Let's call that side your force. Your hypotenuse, let's call it F. Okay, so I'm going to remind you some of the things that you did when you were using the SOHCAHTOA to define your trig ratios. So remember, what you're going to do when they ask for the horizontal, you're going to say I have the horizontal, or I have the applied force, right? This is the force that is applied. I have the applied force and the horizontal. So this is your adjacent, this is your opposite, this is your hypotenuse. So now I have the adjacent and hypotenuse. Then you're going to check on your SOHCAHTOA which one is the adjacent and hypotenuse. So to find the horizontal, you need to use what? You need to use the cos of theta. So when you use the cos of theta, you're going to write it down and say the cos of theta is equals to, according to SOHCAHTOA, it's adjacent, which is your F at X, over your hypotenuse, which is the F applied. Right. So now from this, what you have to do, you just have to do what? Make that Fx subject of the formula. Remember, your Fx is your horizontal component, right? So you just have to make it subject of the formula. How can we isolate f at x? We can multiply this side by the applied. We can multiply the other side by the applied. So in conclusion, these two forces cancel. In conclusion, we're going to say that my Fx is equal to what? The force applied times the cos of that angle. So this is the formula that you need to use. So if you can manage to cram this formula in an exam, you don't have to go all through this. You just have to know the formula, then you can do your substitution and say my Fx will be, the F applied was given at 6 Newtons, the cos of that angle, which is 30 degrees. And you just have to punch this on the calculator to find your final answer. I'm not going to leave it like this because I just want to state something, 5.2 Newtons. So now, please make sure that when you write this, you need to also, it's going to be 5.2 Newtons. So please, don't leave your answer as 5.2 Newtons. Can you see where is my arrow pointing? To the right. So this force will go to the right. If you leave it like this, you might lose a mark. Just say to the right. So now you're going to apply the same method that we did to find your what? To find a vertical component. We're going to use the very same method and say, this is my Fy, and what am I given? I'm given the force applied. So I have the opposite and the hypotenuse. Which one are we going to use? The sine. So you're going to write it down here and say the sine of theta, according to Sawakato, its opposite, which is my Fy, over hypotenuse, which is the applied force. If you can apply the same method of making Fy subject of the formula, you'll find that your horizontal component is equal to what? It's equal to the applied force times the sine of theta. You just have to substitute what you are given there. The applied force was 6. The sine of what? The sine of 30. Put that on the calculator to find your final answer. You need to put it on the calculator to find your final answer as 3 newtons. So now, where is this force pointing? Up. So it's 3 newton upwards. And that's how you solve the horizontal and the vertical components.